And so I also, before reading it, I just want to say that a lot of the story is based on visions that the protagonist, Angie, gets. And so this particular portion that I'm going to start reading is in chapter 13. If anybody does have the book in front of them, it's page 17. And it says, she stood on the platform waiting for a train. The man standing on the opposite platform seemed familiar, but she couldn't get a good look. His face was hidden behind a hoodie, and he peered down at a book in his hands. She tried to call out to him. When she opened her mouth, there was no sound. She tried to clear her throat. Even that didn't make a sound. She grasped at her throat, wondering what had happened to her voice. A train whistled in the distance. She raised her hand to get his attention. He didn't look up. He still didn't notice when she waved. Her hands motioned ever more fervently as she jumped up and down, but to no avail. The train pulled into the platform. He got on the train and took a seat without glancing at her. As the train chugged away, a pair of dark eyes loomed into sight, blocking her view. A hairless, wrinkled face spoke one word: exorcismo. Angie sat with a jolt and opened her eyes. As she focused on the evening sky and the leaves overhead, she realized she was sitting on a bench in the Parque del Retiro alone. Angie had gotten a vision, again, and she had gone back to the Parque del Retiro for a walk. She'd had several long work days, and Josh had called her for a second time to bug her about the piece on dreams. He hadn't been so insistent before, but then again, she hadn't been so resistant to discuss what she was working on. Angie needed her head to be screwed back onto her body and thought a short meditation would help. It had worked until she got the vision with the taunting face of the Romani woman. Angie was covered in cold sweat. The first time Angie got a vision was the morning of January 26th, and it had come to her in a similar way as it had that afternoon. Instead of lying on a park bench, she'd lain on a rock in Central Park. When she went to her rock in New York, she got a sense of peace, and she tried to recreate the same feeling again that day in the Parque del Retiro, but it hadn't worked. Angie wondered if her visions were hypnagogic. The visions were vivid, almost real, which was how Danny described his dreams. Danny told her he entered them easily. He lay still, cleared his mind, and set the intention to go in a hypnagogic state. After a few deep breaths, he found himself in a semi-conscious dream. On the other hand, Angie didn't intend to enter anything other than her calmness. She had meditated, and without her awareness, the vision had appeared. She didn't have to try. The first vision had left her feeling elated. She wished it was real. When her mystery soulmate had whispered, "My lonely dove," a surge had coursed through her. The connection to the man in her dream was unlike any she'd felt before. She had wanted to stay with him. She didn't care that she hadn't been able to see his face. There was something about him that had felt familiar. Most of all, she had felt love. Despite the weight of her 41 years, the vision had made her feel she might still have a chance. It had awakened a hope in her that she hadn't felt in a long time.